Welcome back to the deep dive. So, if you're listening, you've probably, mastered the grammar, you've built a really strong vocabulary,
Right.
but you might still have that feeling that your speech is, well, it's technically correct, but it just sounds a bit unnatural.
Oh, absolutely.
It's missing that flow that native speakers have.
And that feeling is exactly why we're doing this deep dive. We're sort of skipping the years of tedious drills and going straight for what actually works.
Okay.
Our mission today is to pull out the most effective techniques from the sources you shared to move you past just memorizing things and give you a real shortcut to natural pronunciation.
So less about rules, more about muscle memory.
Exactly. Training your ear, training your mouth.
And what I found really impressive right away is
Oh.
that the sources gave us this very clear foundation. They didn't just say practice sound.
No, not at all.
They laid out 4 core areas, which I thought was brilliant. It's sound, rhythm, mouth movement, and shadowing.
Precisely. And that's the key. People usually just focus on the first one, the individual sounds, the phones.
Mm.
But the real breakthrough, the thing that makes you fluent and easy to understand, is when you combine all 4 of those.
So sound is just the starting point.
It's the baseline, yeah.
Yeah.
But it's the rhythm, the physical act of moving your mouth, and then using a technique like shadowing that turns it all into something you can actually do. We're going to get into some specific exercises that should hopefully create some real aha moments for you.
Okay, let's do it. Let's
Mhm.
unpack the fundamentals first. Our first section is about those core mechanics: sound, rhythm, and mouth movement. So why these 3 together? Why can't I just, perfect the sound and hope the rest just falls into place?
Because pronunciation, I mean, at its core, it's a physical skill.
Yeah.
It's like learning an instrument or a sport.
Okay.
It's not just about the sound itself. It's about the flow. It's about how quickly you can move your tongue, your lips, your articulatory organs. If your mouth isn't physically trained to get into the right position quickly, you're going to sound hesitant no matter how well you know the theory.
So we're really talking about physical training, not just mental understanding.
Exactly. Not just the mental part.
So let's dig into that a bit. Mouth movement, or articulation, as linguists call it. How can someone actually train that physical component?
Yeah, and this is the part that I think gets overlooked the most. Articulation is literally where your tongue, teeth, and lips come together to shape the air.
Okay.
Think about the L sound in English versus, say, in Russian or Spanish. The tongue tip placement is just slightly different. It's a physical choice. And if you don't train your tongue to hit that specific spot fast enough,
You lose clarity.
you lose clarity. Simple as that.
So what does training these muscles actually look like? I'm not just like making faces in the mirror, am I?
Well, maybe a little.
Yeah.
But it's mostly about awareness and specific exercises. First, just awareness. Pay attention to where your tongue is when you hear a native speaker. Is it high? Is it low?
You're mapping it out.
You're mapping it. Then you do drills to build control, like holding a vowel position for longer than you normally would to build muscle memory, or doing quick drills, like switching really fast between E and ooh.
Ooh.
Right. Those aren't language drills. They're basically tongue gymnastics. You're building speed and accuracy.
I see. So you're learning the physical choreography first.
Exactly. And that speed, that efficiency, it ties directly into the next piece, rhythm.
Okay.
Because once your mouth knows how to make the sound, it has to do it at the right time with the right emphasis. And the sources are clear on this. Natural rhythm is often more important for being understood than perfect sounds.
That feels backwards from how we're usually taught.
It is. But if your timing is off, a native speaker has to work really hard to decode what you're saying, even if your vowels are technically perfect.
So clarity comes from the musicality, not just the technical perfection.
It does. And that brings us perfectly to our next section, because to get that native rhythm, you have to understand its engine.
Which is how native speakers stress words.
Exactly.
Okay, this is where it gets really interesting for me, because understanding stress feels like the secret key to the whole thing. It's the internal music of the language.
It absolutely is.
So what are the practical implications here? What happens when a learner really gets word stress?
The implications are huge because stress creates the flow. So English is what we call a stress-timed language.
Okay, what does that mean?
It's a really crucial difference. In stress-timed languages like English or German, the time between the stressed syllables is roughly the same. So all the little unstressed syllables in between get crushed. They get spoken really fast.
Compressed.
Compressed, reduced, yeah. This is totally different from languages like Spanish or French, which are syllable timed.
Where every syllable gets about the same amount of time.
Precisely. So if you're a native Spanish speaker, your instinct is to give every syllable in an English sentence equal weight. And that's what sounds immediately unnatural. It just kills the rhythm. So when a native speaker stresses a word, the main vowel is long and clear. But when a word is unstressed, that vowel often just collapses into this weak, neutral sound.
With the famous schwa.
The schwa, yeah. The A sound, like the A in the word about.
Ah, okay. So stress isn't just about being louder. It actually changes the sound of the other vowels in the word.
It completely changes them. The stress pattern is the commander. Think of the words. Photograph, photographer, and photographic.
Oh, yeah. Photograph.
Yeah.
Photographer. Photograph H-ichik. The sounds totally change.
They change completely. If you stress the wrong syllable, not only does it sound wrong, but you fail to do that vowel reduction, and that just throws the whole rhythm of the sentence into chaos.
So you're saying native speakers are constantly reducing and compressing these little syllables to keep that steady beat.
Exactly. When you get native stress, you stop talking word by word. You start speaking in word groups. And that feeds right back into the rhythm we were talking about. Stress is the engine. Without it, you're just saying a list of sounds.
Okay, so we have the mechanics, sound, rhythm, mouth movement, and we have the engine, which is stress. So now for the action plan, how do we put all this together? This brings us to shadowing.
Yes, and shadowing is, I would argue, the most holistic and effective technique you can use to see immediate improvement.
So for anyone listening who isn't familiar, can you just give us a really clear definition? What exactly is a shadowing exercise?
Sure. Shadowing is basically real-time mimicry. You listen to a native speaker, ideally with headphones, and you try to speak at the exact same time they do.
At the same time, not after them.
At the same time. You are literally their shadow, their echo. You're chasing their voice. And the goal at first isn't even to understand what they're saying.
Okay.
The goal is just to replicate the sounds, the music, the physical effort.
That sounds intense, but I have to ask, if I'm a beginner, isn't that just going to reinforce my own bad habits? How do I know I'm copying correctly?
That's a critical question. And the answer is in the real-time element. Because you're constantly trying to keep up, shadowing immediately shows you where you're inefficient.
Ah, I see.
If your mouth movement is too slow, you fall behind. If your rhythm is wrong, you can't sync up your voice with theirs. It's like a diagnostic tool. You don't need to be perfect to start. You just need to train your ear and your mouth to keep the pace.
So it forces your brain and your mouth to work together at native speed. It integrates everything we just talked about.
And that integration is the whole point. Shadowing hits all four of our core areas at once.
How so?
Well, one, it trains your ear to all the little details. That's the sound. Two, it forces you to keep up with the flow, the compression, the reductions. That's your rhythm and stress.
Right.
And three, crucially, it models the physical actions for you in real time. It forces your mouth to make the right shapes at the right speed. That's your mouth movement.
It does sound incredibly efficient. Do the sources mention any, examples of how well this works?
Yeah, there was a great one about a learner who shadowed political speeches. Just 20 minutes a day, 3 times a week. And within a month, they said their comprehension and their speaking fluidity basically doubled. All because they were training their internal metronome to match the real speed of the language.
That is really motivating. Okay, but let's shift gears a bit. Even with these amazing techniques, things can still go wrong. What are some of the common pronunciation mistakes that learners still run into?
Well, the common mistakes are they're rarely random. They're usually symptoms that you haven't quite integrated this whole approach. It's often your native language, your L1, interfering.
Right.
They tend to happen when there's not enough attention on mouth movement or a failure to really get the native stress and rhythm.
Can you give us a really clear example, like a mouth movement mistake versus a rhythm mistake?
Absolutely. A classic mouth movement failure is the sound in English, the sound in think or theory.
The one everyone hates.
Right. So linguistically, it's an interdental fricative. Your tongue has to touch or get really close to your top teeth, and air flows over it. A common mistake is to just say a T or a D sound instead. Tink instead of think.
Right.
That's purely a muscular error. Your tongue is just in the wrong spot.
That's very clear. Okay, so what does a rhythm failure sound like?
A rhythm failure is when the flow gets broken. So for example, let's say you produce a perfect vowel sound in isolation, but then you put it in a sentence and you don't reduce it when you should.
Wow.
Like the unstressed ayin banana, if you say bana with 3 clear ah sounds, you've killed the rhythm. The mistake isn't the vowel sound itself, it's the rhythm. It's the failure to reduce it to that weak schwa sound.
So the lesson here is that to fix these common mistakes, it's not enough to just drill that one problem sound over and over again.
That is the crucial takeaway from our synthesis. Yes, you have to apply the holistic techniques. Shadowing will help you catch those rhythm errors because you're forced to keep up. Focusing on stress will tell you which syllables to reduce. It's about systemic application.
This has been incredibly helpful. We started with the four foundations: sound, rhythm, mouth movement, shadowing. And we saw how native stress is really the engine driving it all. It's all about shifting from just, analyzing the language to actually performing it.
Absolutely. And for you, the learner, the takeaways are pretty clear. Pronunciation is physical and it's musical, not just academic.
Right.
So focus on training your mouth for speed, learn the native stress patterns, and make shadowing your go-to exercise. Think of yourself as an acoustic athlete.
And if you do that, fluency isn't about getting rid of your accent. It's about being clear and being understood because you've mastered the native flow.
And here's a final thought for you to chew on, something that builds on the source material. Take everything you now know about rhythm and stress and apply it not just when you speak, but when you listen.
Oh, interesting.
The next time you're watching a movie or listening to a podcast, don't just process the words, listen for the music. Listen for the flow. Where are the high notes, the stressed syllables? Where are the reduced ones?
So you're training your ear proactively.
You're training your ear much, much faster. And that will make your shadowing and your speaking exponentially more effective down the line. Listen for the dance, and eventually the walking will just disappear on its own.